Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin O'Powers, I'm also the owner, operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. So, what we do on our program is what I do on this program is I take a single individual film and I invite a guest to come on the podcast and kind of me and him have a conversation, a critique analysis of this particular film. Now, because we only do one film each episode, this allows us to get to the nitty gritty and the really into these films that we kind of talk about, because we know that you all as horror fans would rather us give you a more in-depth look at a lot of these films out there than just to quickly glance over them. So we do hope that you are enjoying our conversations, even though they sometimes will range between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. We hope that we are entertaining you, the masses. That being said, the film we are talking about today is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's also one of my special guests' favorite movies. And the movie is The Haunting from 1963. And to talk about this movie with me, I have the amazing Jim Adams back to talk with me about one of these classic black and white films. Thank you, Jim, for joining us today.
Yes, and I like it, even though it's not a found footage film. No. This film so impacted me as a kid. It scared the hell out of me when I first saw it. I still remember it was part of the CBS late night series. They showed it quite a bit when they were showing their monster movies and horror films late at night in the 60s. And this is one that I think it was either a Friday night or a Saturday night, because my folks would let me take the little black and white portable TV set up to my room and watch these late night movies, even after they'd all gone to bed or whatever. And there are some scenes in this movie that just absolutely terrified me the first time I saw them. Watching it all in the dark by myself, late at night. This is a terrific film. I still put it up there as one of the best ghost movies ever made. Mm-hmm. There's two of them, older ones, and I know there's going to be younger folks that say, "Ah, you're crazy." But this one, The Haunting, and The Uninvited, which was made like 20 years before this one. I think both of them are just some of my favorite ghost movies.
Okay.
Don't compare this one to the remake that came out, because that was god awful and had nothing to do with the story. This one was based on the book by Shirley Jackson, who is also one of my favorite authors. So, because she wrote some great horror stuff.
I will agree with you on that, because she's one of my favorite authors. And I have an unusual story with this film, because I came to this film via the book. Now, I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember how I came across this book. This was my first Shirley Jackson book, and I'm not sure how I came across the book, because
for a lot of people that was their first book by Shirley Jackson. Because I had to read The Lottery when I was in school. Oh, that was a short story in school, and then that led me to find The Haunting, and would read that book because I liked The Lottery so much.
Yeah, I don't remember how I came across the book. I do remember that I loved the book and the story so much that I loved reading other books. But then I looked for the film, and that's how I came across the film. And the film ended up being one of my favorite classic horror ghost story films, because of how much it for me, it felt like a oh my God, I can't think of his name. The guy who did I Walk with a Zombie and Cat People and all the other ones.
You mean Robert Wise?
No.
I thought you meant the director there.
The type of films he did.
Val Lewton.
Is it Val Lewton? Yeah.
Val Lewton's the one that did Cat People and all those.
Okay.
Yeah. And Robert Wise, he was definitely a mentor for Robert Wise.
So that film felt so much like the Val Lewton's film.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I loved it. Because I Walked with a Zombie and Cat People and Curse of Cat People are all, actually most of his films, Bedlam and the rest of them, are all pretty much some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And
they're almost more psychological films than horror. I mean, but they have horror in them. Yeah.
Yeah, but these films feel, because
awesome.
they have this almost classic feel to them, they almost feel kind of ageless, because this one doesn't seem like it's like a product of its time. To me.
Oh, that's true. No, that's very true. It plays very well today as it did 60 years ago.
It may be in black and white, but it still plays really well because.
Well, Robert could have made this in color.
So.
And he chose not to, and he was very outspoken about it. He said he intentionally shot this in black and white because of the way the camera looked, the way the picture looked.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using a relatively new style lens, an anamorphic lens, which I think it was I forgot the name of the lens company now that I just went out of my head. One of the ones that's known for, but they agreed to let him use that lens because he loved the way it looked, because it was curved, and it gives this film a very strange look. But he had to sort of sign off on it. They said, well, you've got to tell people that this is still a lens being developed in case they don't like the look, because we're still working on it. So he had basically a prototype of what became sort of a fisheye type lens.
Yeah. That
became very, very popular. But, yeah. So, I mean, and people that don't watch black and white films, you're missing out, because this film would never have worked in color, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. And the Hill House would not have been as ominous as it was if it was in color.
That's right.
The cinematography for every time they showed the house is just simply amazing.
Yes.
The house is a character in this film.
Oh, it is.
Every shot of the exterior of this house is haunting, as well as the way that the camera flows throughout the house as the characters roam through the multiple different hallways, getting lost, not getting lost.
Doorway, big maze. I love that.
It's something that was that whole aesthetic was completely missing from the remake, and why this.
Oh no, they did. I don't even think they read the book. In all honesty.
I'm not going to say much about Jan de Bont because he did do.
He did The Walking Dead. No, that's Frank. I'm sorry.
Different one. Well, he did Speed, and then a lot of other movies.
I did. I forgot. Yeah, Speed. And I forgot what the other one was. He did.
So it's
Cujo, which is my least favorite adaptation of a Stephen King novel. So
did he do camera on there?
I think so. Yeah.
Probably because he did a lot.
Well, I mean, the films he directed, a lot of times he was also the DP.
So, but getting back to The Haunting, I mean, there's so many different things about this version of the film
that
are still hold up to the day, and I hope that by us discussing it today, more people will seek it out if they've never seen it before, because I do think this is one of those films that is hailed as a classic, but I don't know many newer generation modern audiences are talking about and seeing this film.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say this, the concept in 1963 was very new and fresh, whereas in this day and age, it probably would not play off as well, because it essentially follows a Dr. Markway, who is a scientist who's trying to prove the existence of the afterlife via going to a haunted house, or an assumed haunted house, and bringing specialists to this haunted house to document what they see, feel, hear, and experience. Nowadays, with all the freaking ghost hunter shows and everything out there,
you've got so many. Yeah, there are a dime a dozen now.
It's a dime a dozen. But in 1963, when this movie was made, these people, and especially Markway, they put this whole film and the way that it's written plays it off as though it is all real. It is. It's more realistic than, and you don't have these characters, Theo or Eleanor, who are like caricatures of ghost hunters. They're, so that's the stuff that this film has that's different than what you would see nowadays. And it makes the film more endearing for the characters. So
yeah, it's funny, because we talked a few times on some of the movies we've done together that a majority of these found footage films that we have watched are ghost story movies. The people going to a haunted place and staying there all night. So I mean, this one has that same story. Basically, you've got this guy. Except they're staying there for days and days and days. They're there for like a month or something like that at this haunted mansion. But yeah, guys, you have not seen this movie. These have actual, honest to God characters not just people who are set up as fodder to be killed
Yeah.
by the. And it's what you don't see in this movie that's the most frightening part about it.
Yes.
That Robert Wise does an excellent job with that. You don't have to see everything on the screen, and you don't. And that's what makes it even more frightening. But you totally, he gets you right into it. I mean, you're in there from the perspective of these 4 individuals who are in this house to find out what's going on, because the house has a reputation of being haunted, and it has a very bad history behind it with people. That one guy and his wives all seem to die unexpectedly.
Well, as you're talking about this, I'll let everyone know that the thing about this film is they tell you this at the very, very start of the film.
Yeah.
Markway, the scientist, is trying to convince the person who owns Hill House to let him stay in the house, and he's relating the history of the house to them.
Yeah.
And so as he does that, we, the audience, are seeing this before we actually see who Markway is. And it's a very elaborate and simple story in which we see, hey, why the house was built by
Crane was his name. Yeah.
Hugh Crane.
Crane, yeah.
Supposed to be a beautiful house for his wife, but his wife dies before she ever sets sight on the house.
Just outside of the house. And the carriage gets into a wreck.
And so the house, in theory, is born bad. That's how people look at it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the daughter, Abigail, and Hugh are living in this house, and Hugh never gets married again.
Oh, and he has a second wife who died on the staircase.
Oh, that's right. He has a second wife. Don't think I remember her name.
Abigail, I believe. No, Abigail's the daughter.
Abigail's the daughter.
I don't think we do know the name of
I don't think we do. It says the second Mrs. Crane is what I wrote down.
Yeah.
The second Mrs. Crane.
That would be correct.
But she dies from a fall down the stairs, which you'll see later in the film as well. But then that leaves Hugh and Abigail alone again in the house. But Hugh goes off and leaves, leaving Abigail in the care of someone at the house, obviously, and Hugh dies, which then leaves Abigail alone, and we see this progression of her alone in bed, and she spends her entire life there, except for as she becomes an old woman, she then has a companion.
Yep.
And the companion is too busy to be paying attention to her by being with one of the gardener, I believe they mentioned.
Yeah, she was screwing around with the gardener.
She was screwing around with the gardener, and Abigail dies, and then she leaves the companion, all of her property, and the house. And then she ultimately becomes the companion, who we don't also know her name either. She eventually becomes a spinster in the house.
Yes.
And the house drives her mad to the point where she hangs herself inside the house.
In the library.
And then the house just keeps falling into the ownership of multiple different cousins and other family members.
Well, I was going to say it ends up with what was it? I don't think it was her daughter, but I think it was her niece or something. But it was some
cousin, some distant cousin. Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but
Samerson.
But it ends up in a distant cousin's possession. Mm-hmm. And that's when Markway shows up, and he's trying to get permission to use the house to prove his theory. And of course, he has to contend with the owner's son, Luke. Luke. Who will be there on site with him as a watcher of the property, but he also has plans to make money off the property either. So there's
he's just waiting for his mother to die.
He's just waiting for her to die so that he can kind of take over and start making money off the property.
Right.
So he has this profit mentality when it comes to the house. And then of course we figure out what's going on as Markway is putting together his list of people that he wants to bring into the house after he's been given permission to stay there. And that's when we meet our main character, Eleanor.
That's it.
Yeah. Eleanor is a very interesting character, I do.
She is the most fascinating character in this whole movie.
Because I don't know if we would have a character like that in this modern day, but that character seems like someone we have seen a lot of back in the day, because we used to have this thing where the younger generation would take care of the older generation if they became invalid all that type of stuff. Nowadays, most people stick them in the old folks' home, but that's not what happened to her. She ends up taking care of her mother for over 11 years when her mother becomes an invalid.
That's right.
She's been shut in. She's been isolated from a lot of the family members, but now her mother's passed.
Yeah.
And she's now living with her sister.
Oh God, yeah.
In an extra room.
Well, it was like the drawing room or something, because she was saying my bedroom's this couch in your den or whatever. Doesn't even have her own bedroom or whatever. Yeah, they're real prime time candidates, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but her sister and her
sister's
husband don't kind of look down on her.
Oh yeah.
They don't think she can take care of herself. They don't think that she's been isolated in that world.
Well, I've been through something like that because I took care of my mom for the last 15 years of her life when she had Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And your family members do that sometimes. They think, oh, it must be worthless. It's a 24-hour job being a nurse, and so it does limit what you can do. And so, I mean, I didn't get as bad as Eleanor did. But I mean, yeah, sometimes you go, God, I'm missing out on a lot of stuff. But I mean, that's just what you did.
Yeah, and that's how
my generation. You took care of your parents. If your parents needed the help, you gave it to them because of what they gave you. Growing up. So, but Eleanor, yeah, I mean, you really feel sorry for her, and here's her chance now to break out. Her mother has died. She's feeling guilty about it, but now she's got a chance to do something on her own.
Mm-hmm.
To go to this, and she had a poltergeist experience, which is when Markway was advertising for people, and he saw that in her letter that she'd had an experience as a child, and he thought, okay, she might be a good one to have along.
Which is interesting because I almost forgot about that. You know what? I forgot about that till I rewatched. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I do remember this because every time I watch the movie, it reminds me of the original ending to the Carrie, where the house gets pelted with stones, and I had forgotten about that. But the interesting thing about this story is that Eleanor is refusing to believe that version of it. She's believing the version her mother tells her, which is that her neighbors are throwing stones at the house.
Yeah.
And that's what she's believed or convinced herself is what happens, because believing in paranormal activity, she can't come to grips with that, despite the fact that in this house it seems like a natural occurrence for her. So.
Well, and she appears, she's almost presented like she has some psychic ability a little bit, although, like you said, she doesn't want to admit it and she doesn't want to believe it, but she does. You can tell she's in tune with something in that.
In tune is the right word. Yeah, she's in tune, and Markway sees that even if she doesn't see it. So,
and it's a big part of the story.
It's a big part of the story because as soon as she takes the car that's half hers, I find that hilarious. The car is half hers. Because it's part of what she paid for. She says she half paid for it.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, that's the one she had when her mother was still alive.
Yeah, so she takes the car and she drives herself out there. So she's not afraid to venture out into the world.
Right.
She also has this constant feeling that she's meant for something else. And that's part of this psychic intuition or feeling that she seems to have about, especially this house, Hill House. Which is interesting because right off the bat we get her narrating, her voiceover.
Yes, that's right. She's the narrator in the beginning.
So we get into her brain right off the bat, and it's constantly throughout the whole movie, which is interesting because this isn't a concept that is used very often in this day and age anymore.
No, hardly at all.
Sunset Boulevard does it brilliantly as well. And there's some great movies from that time period that do it well, but it's something that's kind of lost in this day and age. We don't do that internal voiceover too often anymore. And it reminds me of how classic this movie is when I watch it. I was like, oh yeah, some of the stuff that used to be brilliant, and we don't do it anymore in this day and age.
That's true.
I don't know why, to be honest with you, but I just know it does. Show don't tell.
The styles have changed. Yeah, the film styles have changed. Yeah, because it was very popular in film noir movies and others, but it just it sort of died away.
Yep. So, but she's not the only one that's in this house. We have.
We got to talk. Well, let's. Julie Harris is the one who plays Eleanor brilliantly. Oh my God, what a great actress they picked for this one.
I think they're all pretty damn good in this movie.
Oh, they are. It's a hell of a cast. But Harris, Robert Wise, made no doubt, no bones about the fact was, when they thought of Julie Harris, he said she's perfect. She had that vulnerability and naivete, and because she had been sheltered, as a young adult and all that stuff, and she was perfect for this role.
Yeah. But then joining her is also Claire Bloom as Theodora.
Theodora, I love that character.
I just, if anything, the remake got right. I like Catherine Zeta-Jones as Theo in that movie, but that's about.
Yeah, that worked. Yeah, I mean that was the only thing that they figured out. Because I could see Claire Bloom being replaced with her in a modern interpretation. But I mean, we were growing up, we were all in love with Claire Bloom. She was another one of those that. I still remember from the Illustrated Man. It was like, oh my God,
that's still my.
She was a looker. Boy, she was something else.
Well, she's amazing in this film too.
Yes. Because she is a psychic. She is a known psychic in this film.
So, and she has so much fun in this movie.
Yes.
She has so much fun. And the thing is, when you're listening and watching Eleanor and what she's going through, to have Theo there to kind of offset that is actually really brilliant.
It's perfect. They're 180. Yeah, total 180.
180. And then, of course, we have Luke, the young man who's going to inherit this property, who's there simply because he wants to watch out his investment.
Yes.
But we're warned early on that he's a card shark and not to play cards with him.
And he's played by Russ Tamblyn. Perfect. That was great casting for him.
I only know who he is now. I did not know who he was when I originally saw the film. Over the years,
he started out as a child actor playing Tom Thumb, or as a young adult, and then West Side Story and others. I mean, he was very, and so he was, as weird as it sounds, he was sort of on the tail end of his first career. I mean, it got resurrected in the 70s and the 80s, and then of course his daughter Amber Tamblyn went on to have her own television series years after that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Russ, had sort of. Hit his peak, and then was at this point was sort of tailoring off when Robert put him in this movie, and all of a sudden, bam, kickstarted him all over again. So it was, because anytime you're a child actor, you run that risk of not being able to make that jump, from the teen years into an adult. And it wasn't so much that he couldn't make the jump, but it was just things were just sort of dying down for him, and this really picked things back up. People saw him in a different light.
Yeah,
and so he was. It opened him up for a lot more characters because he'd been making some pretty awful movies before this one came out. And he would make some awful movies after that. But Russ was like, I just like making them. I don't care what they are.
If you're a working actor, sometimes that keeps you going.
Yeah. Yeah, Russ, we won't mention Frankenstein versus Dracula. The Al Adamson.
Another one that's on my list I've never watched, but I'm very aware of its existence. And then the last of our main cast would be Dr. Markway himself, played by, this one I'm not too, Richard Johnson.
Richard Johnson. Well, we didn't know him that much because most of the stuff he did was in Great Britain.
Oh,
this is one of the rare ones that came into the United States, but he had quite a career in Great Britain, stage and film acting. But
interesting.
He had a few things that slipped over here, but not. So this is about the only thing I can think of that I ever saw him in. Okay. As far as an American film goes.
Okay, that would make much more sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes much more sense to me now.
But he always played like an authority figure, like a politician, authority figure, or someone in like a policeman or something like that. So he's definitely the guy running the show here.
Well, the thing is, he comes off as a very knowledgeable scientist, but he also empathetic to Eleanor in this proceedings. He actually
he's quite fond of her.
Yeah, he wants genuine reactions and stuff from everyone,
right?
And he doesn't want anything that's fake, which is good that the other people that were supposed to be there didn't show up. He thinks he has a perfect team with just these two. I think there were 6 that were originally supposed to show up.
Yeah, originally 6, and 2 of them, 4 of them didn't show up.
Yeah, and these 2 didn't do any research about the house before they came, which is right. Why they came. that these little quips like this throughout the movie make me laugh. They're humorous. Not only that stuff like that, but also like Luke and Theo had playing cards, and Luke loses every hand to Theo.
Yes,
because she's cheating by reading the cards because she's
right.
It's those things like that make everything that's happening to them seem more authentic and real, because that's happening in the background as Markway and Eleanor are discussing something else.
Right.
And that's some of the stuff that I think gets lost on more modern films, is like these little moments where they built up characters, but they also seem
they're great. Yeah, I mean, this is a very deep film when it comes to characterizations.
So, and then things start happening in the house. The one thing I do want to point out is what you've already pointed out, Jim, is that a lot of the stuff that is experienced in here is not overtly in your face. It's all kind of off screen or not off screen.
Yeah.
And then the audio, the way they use audio,
the sound design on this is brilliant.
Sound design is simply amazing in this film, and it really, really does a great job. You hear the creaks from the doors, you hear the sounds that could be explained as ghostly, or they could be explained away as nothing, but what could be in your head. The movie plays with the audience.
And we find out that house was built weird. It was built off center. It was like the walls weren't level or squared off, so the doors would shut themselves by themselves. So you didn't know, was this a ghostly occurrence, or was it wind, or no, it wasn't wind, or they just would normally close on their own. And they point that out. I mean, Markway says, see, the architecture of this house is really bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they built the sets, because actually, folks, you're going to be amazed when you see this movie. They had an actual house that they found in England that matched up to what Robert Wise wanted this house to look like. And Ann Jackson really loved what he picked. But all of the interiors are sets.
Oh.
And so they built them a little off kilter to try to mirror what the book was talking about. And it's all these little subtle things that just keep adding up watching this movie. That's the thing that I love about this film. There's the detail in it.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. And it works. I mean, it plays on you psychologically.
Yeah.
On some of the more frightening scenes.
Right. To be honest with you, I don't know if I ever found the film frightening. But there's a couple of scenes that I know as a kid really got to me. Really?
There was one where they were all, when the women had adjoining rooms,
mm-hmm.
and they were trying to go to sleep, and there was noises out in the hallway, and it sounded like someone was coming up closer and closer, and then there was this big rap on the door.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, I jumped like a mile the first time I saw. Here I'm up in my bedroom with this little, with my eyes right on this little 12-inch screen.
Oh, that's right.
And it's all dark, and all the lights are out, and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, and it's building attention. Then, I mean, I'm looking at my door, thinking, "Oh my God, this thing's front," and the door is bowing in, and it's like, "Oh my God!" I mean, the film really is very effective in building all that up.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And then of course, because you're talking about one of the most famous sequences where Theo and Eleanor are in their room scared because they're hearing all the noises outside. Someone's trying to get into the room, but all of a sudden, Markway and Luke show up.
Yeah.
They haven't heard anything. They haven't experienced anything.
Nothing.
And so it's not only having those scenes where two of the people are experiencing one thing. This we also see reaction from the two other people who aren't experiencing any of that.
Yes, that's right.
And so then you kind of think, well, is it in their head? Is it real? Is it the house really the house haunted?
Right.
And the funny thing is, after that sequence, I believe both Eleanor and Theo actually have a quick laugh about all that just happened. About
right, oh, they do, yeah, because they well, maybe we're just scaring ourselves.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you don't know at first.
no, but I think it really comes down to the first time that it feels like there might be something nefarious about the house is when it leaves Eleanor a note. Oh, what was that note?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It said, help you come home or something.
Oh,
Eleanor,
no,
or
help
something.
Eleanor come home.
Help Eleanor come home. Yes, I should have looked
yes.
that up ahead of time, but I didn't.
Yeah. Help Eleanor come home, and that throws Eleanor off completely.
Yeah, it's written on the wall. It's like, whoa.
In something like chalk. We don't actually know what it is.
Don't know what it is. No,
it's something like chalk.
Yeah.
It's something like that where they don't actually give you a really defined definition of what it was.
Ectoplasm. No.
Ectoplasm.
I don't know.
That scares Eleanor.
Yeah.
It knows her name. Whatever is in the house knows her name. Also, Theo has made comments that the house wants her.
Yes.
So Theo has these is she empathic, psychic?
Yeah, she's an empath.
Yeah. So her feelings, I want to make the words right. Feelings have her believing that the house actually wants her, Eleanor.
Yes.
And so this plays into a lot of stuff that goes on throughout the movie. Which is excellent in the way because it's a slow burn. These moments like that where you don't really see anything but the characters experience stuff.
Yes.
And then they'll have a quiet moment. And then they'll come back again. And it's a slow burn.
And plus this house is like a big maze. It's so easy to get lost in it because all the hallways look the same. And I mean, even the very beginning when the two women, when Eleanor and Theodora met each other, because their rooms were next to each other, and then they were being called for dinner, and they couldn't find their way out until Markway shows up. He says, "No, here's the door you go to," because, and he warns them. He says, it's easy to get lost in this house because the doors close on their own and everything looks alike and it's very strange. So everything about this is like creepy.
Yeah, and that atmosphere and that kind of feeling that you get from the creepiness of the house / film is never lost in any subsequent scenes.
No, not at all.
It's maintained from early on and is consistent throughout the whole film.
Yes,
which means that it's one of those films where you don't feel like the suspense or thriller aspects ever really let up, despite the fact there are those comedic moments thrown in.
Oh yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Yes, it's a very fine line, but you got to break the tension a little bit, give people a chance to take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Wise does that beautifully.
So
he did the same thing. He did the same thing earlier in the 50s with the movie Day the Earth Stood Still.
Mm.
Very similar technique when that one you were always on edge. You're not sure what was going on and or what was going to happen and all that stuff, and that built to a big climax at the end, like this movie did too.
Yeah,
Wise was really good at that.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. Actually, I don't know what happened to him. Actually, to be honest with you, it just dawned on me.
What's that?
What happened to Robert Wise?
Oh, he continued making movies. I one of the last ones he made though was one that he caught a lot of criticism for, and that was the first Star Trek movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love the first Star Trek.
I do too. A lot of us do, but I don't know. The criticism I think came from some of the real fanatical fans that.
You think so?
Didn't think he made it the way it should have been made, but I liked the first movie. I remember walking away from it feeling so. I never really saw a Robert Wise film that I did not like, and he didn't just make horror science fiction. I mean, he did West Side Story and God, there's a bunch of films he made.
Well,
That,
the ones I loved that he did were the Andromeda Strain and the
Andromeda Strain's brilliant. Yes.
And the Sand Pebbles I loved. I
Yes.
have yet to see. I had to look it up. I have not seen Sound of Music yet.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, the whole family went to see that one. That was like a big family event when it came out in the theaters.
And
Mom and Dad, yeah, they took us all to see it.
I did not know that he did the movie Rooftops.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh, he's done a ton of films. People might not remember, but just some really good stuff.
That is actually kind of scary, but not so scary because now that I think about it, because he did West Side Story, I'm not surprised he did Rooftops.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I see. As I would not have thought that a guy that did The Haunting would be the director for a movie like West Side Story. It's like it just doesn't seem to fit. But he could do anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
The genres didn't matter with him.
It didn't, and I'm actually glad that he did. But
and actors and actresses that worked with him all loved working with him. All of the cast here went, publicly, always talked about how much he helped them acting wise and what a terrific director he was, and they loved working with him. So I mean, he had a lot of respect in Hollywood.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the top directors of the day.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I know him for after I learned about this movie, The Haunting.
Yeah.
I've seen most of his other films simply because of who he was.
Yeah.
And what I, growing up, watching of his the most was the Andromeda Strain of Star Trek.
Definitely, yeah.
Those were the two I grew up with. And then when I realized who he was, several years after watching The Haunting and The Haunting become a regular movie for me, I started looking up his other movies. Like I finally got around to seeing West Side Story and The Sand Pebbles and The Hindenburg. And Audrey Rose was another one I'd seen. Another one I actually really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I've seen most of his films. I still musicals are still on the sideline for me. That's why I haven't seen the Sound of Music. Or the movie Star, which I know nothing about, but looks like a musical to me. And it has Julie Andrews in it, so it must be a musical. So that's probably why I never got about it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I look at these directors who do these movies like The Haunting, and I don't know who they are, but they created something that's so almost magical in the horror genre.
Yes.
I seek out the other projects that they've done, and the only other horror project he did was Audrey Rose. And that's really more of a psychological film anyway.
That's another, yeah, I was going to say it's a psychological thriller in my book.
It's a psychological thriller, but for me, it was such a good movie when it came out. Another movie.
It was a real surprise. It was nothing like what I expected it to be.
And so I don't think a lot of people, I actually don't know the talk about Audrey Rose, to be honest with you. I think that Weiss in this film is discussed in film circles everywhere.
Yes.
But Audrey Rose is not.
No, it's not. I don't know why. It's a small group that really love the film.
Yeah, but the Andromeda Strain is still one of the premier films in that whole genre of infectious diseases, and one of my
It's still. I went and saw it about a year ago. Really? I thought. Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long, long time. I saw it in college for the first time, and then, it had been a while since I'd seen it. I'd seen it a few times on cable, but it's been like almost 20 years since I've seen it. And oh man, I was just enraptured watching it. I mean, it was just a brilliant film.
Yeah, what's funny is I just watched his Star Trek, the motion picture again, last Christmas. They were playing like all the, I think it was Christmas, Thanksgiving. They were playing all the movies, and so me and my son were watching all the movies, and we cut like the last hour and a half of the first Star Trek. I was like,
a long one,
man,
but it's a good one.
I love this movie. And then we started watching the rest of the Star Treks, and I think we got 3 or 4 of them in.
Yeah.
Before I had, before we stopped, and then of course it went back. Unfortunately for me, at like midnight, and they were playing something around like Nemesis or something, or Insurrection. Okay, let's turn this off. But that being said, I love his style, and I think from my understanding, it may have started in something like West Side Story, but then what we see in the camera and the cinematography and the haunting is simply amazing. And I would love to think, since I haven't seen it yet, that it continued on in the Sound of Music because it's a musical.
I think he took that. I think he took a lot of his style. Yeah, is in all of his films. Yeah, he's very much into detail. He's very much into story, and then very much into the characters. So I mean, the story and the characters, coupled with the look of the film, you get the whole package with this guy. You really do.
Yeah. So, but getting back to the haunting, we this is gonna be an episode where we talk about Robert Weiss.
Well, I mean, he's a big part of this movie. I mean, I don't think this movie would have been as good if it had been any other director.
Yeah, I think the way we talk about Robert
I could think of that could have done it.
Yeah, I think the way we talk about Robert Weiss with this film would be the same way as if we were just discussing The Night of the Living Dead, and we're talking mostly about George A. Romero and what he brought to the fucking.
Absolutely, yeah, the visionaries behind the movies.
Yeah,
we got to talk about the library because that's like one of the creepiest places in this whole. Well, there's two creepy places. This is one, but I mean, they go to the library. This extensive library with this god awful spiral staircase. Who in the hell would put something like that in their house? It goes up about 20 to 25 feet, just barely attached to the wall, shaking, it's a little metal, it's a metal spiral staircase. And, oh man, there's no way in hell I would ever use something like that. And then of course, Eleanor can't go into the room. There's something in there. She just, the minute they open the door, she goes, "No, I'm not going in there." Yeah. And all she can say is that there's a smell in there that reminds me of when I was taking care of my mother. Something that was just bringing back all of these horrible thoughts in her head. She says, "I'm just not going to go in there. Can't do that." And of course, it's got this big statue in there of St. Francis with the lepers, supposedly. And some of the statues of the lepers look surprisingly like our core of four who are there investigating the house, but they were supposed to represent. The statues were also supposed to be representations of Hugh Crane and the wife and the dog and the daughter or whatever. So there's all kinds of weirdness going on in that, and it's just a weird place.
Well, as part of the amazing production design sets in this film, not only that, even like the smaller sets, like the dining room, some of the other sets, when you first are introduced to these locations that get used multiple times, I was actually surprised when you told me that they were done on sound stages.
They're all constructed on sound stages, and then the only thing the real house they use for is just exteriors.
Of course.
They did a great job, though. I mean, it shows what you can do if you can match things up well.
Well, for me, it's like they took the time to create. Will as a character. Like I said, this film the house is a character in this film.
Oh God, yes, yeah. I mean,
and it's not just because it's a haunted house or what the main character Eleanor perceives as a haunted house. It's also the way in which Weiss showcases the house for the audiences from every shot.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things that when we step into the library again, because obviously the companion hung herself in the library, but when we see it again from everyone else's perspective, it brings on a much more haunting atmosphere and perspective.
Yeah, the house that they used was an old hotel. It was an old hotel in England. The Eddington Park Hotel in Stratford on the Avon. It had been empty for several years.
Oh,
and it just had that look about it. The architecture of it just had exactly what Weiss visualized this mansion would look like.
Man,
a little trivia for you folks. There you go.
Every once in a while, we give you some trivia just for us.
Oh yeah,
I'll get that. Okay, so now where are we going next?
Well, let's see. We talked about then there's one other room that is really spooky, and that's the nursery, where Abigail spent the majority of her life. She refused to leave the nursery, and of course, when they get up there, things just seem to happen around this room.
Mm-hmm.
to the point where Mark Way says, I think this is the core of what's happening here. It all seems to be centering around this room, which makes them suspect that maybe it's the ghost has something to do with Abigail, or maybe one of the wives or whatever. But it seems like it's at the center focus of all of the strange activities that are happening in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we get to meet one more character, because basically the whole movie centers around these four.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the two caretakers.
Oh yeah,
the husband and wife.
Yeah.
The wife makes no bones about the fact that it's like, I will serve dinner at such and such, and I leave. I do not stay here after dark. So I'll put it out and I'm gone, and you don't eat it. Well, that's your tough luck.
Yeah,
I'll be back in the morning. And then her husband, who's the groundskeeper for there. But then we have another character who shows up, and it's Mrs. Markway, Grace Markway, played by someone who probably American audiences will recognize in a heartbeat, and that's Lois Maxwell. And you say, Lois Maxwell? Yeah, Miss Moneypenny from the James Bond films. And she played Miss Moneypenny through, I think, 4 James Bonds.
Yeah, I can. Okay, I'd be 4. Okay.
I think she was in one of the Timothy Dalton ones, in the Timothy Dalton one, and she was in definitely Sean Connery and Roger Moore, and then I believe she was in the Timothy Dalton one, and I think she made one of the next ones, one of the Pierce Brosnan ones before they replaced her, or they might have replaced her after Timothy Dalton. I'm not sure.
I've lost.
It was through like '84, I think, is when she stopped playing James Bond, but she was like Miss Moneypenny. For, let's see, when was it? It was View to a Kill was the last James Bond film.
So she did up to the last Roger Moore one. Okay.
Yeah, so it was that when Pierce Brosnan or Timothy Dalton came in, then they did replace her. But for those of us who grew up during that time period, she was Miss Moneypenny.
That's who I know her for.
Yep. From all those classic Bond movies.
Yep.
And of course, she shows up, and she's a skeptic, and tells her husband, I'm sort of here to keep an eye on you, and because I want to prove that there's probably nothing to this, and there's no haunting here, and I'm going to stay in the nursery. And they're like, no, you can't. I'm going to stay in the nursery. And of course, she disappears like one of the first nights she's there.
Well, they did tell her not to stay in the nursery.
Yeah, they hear a big thud. That night, there was one of those. Again, it sounds like someone's walking down the hallway, thud on the door. We hear a scream. They all rush out. They rush to the nursery, and she's nowhere to be found. Ooh. And of course, more and more as the movie goes on, Eleanor feels more and more in tune with this house.
Yeah, the walls.
And to the point where, and she also, she had developed sort of feelings for Dr. Markway.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the wife shows up and it's like, oh, hell, I didn't know he was married. And that sort of throws her off a little bit. But she always feels like she was destined to be at this house for some reason.
Yeah.
She doesn't know why, but she just feels like the house wants her there.
Yeah, well, she feels that way from the very beginning of the film, too.
Yeah, this is something that builds, all through the movie. It starts and gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
And that's why we talk about the slow burning thing. A lot of this has to deal with how we get to the resolution of the film is directly responsible from the way, or a direct correlation between the way Eleanor feels about the house.
Yes.
What's lacking from her real world outside of that house. For her, this trip and what Markway is providing her is a vacation from the life she used to have. It's an adventure. It's something that is drawing her in from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And as an audience member, we're watching this film and we don't know directly, or if we ever really do know, if all this stuff is happening to her because she might be having some mental type of issues,
right? Yeah.
Or if she really is a psychic of some type, or has this ability in which she is more in tune with the house than what she realizes.
Right.
The thing is, Markway is the one who sees it right off the bat, and Theo kind of feels it, but because she's also her friend, it's like it's something Theo has to feel out, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that the right way though.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah. Theo is very disturbed by her reaction to this house. Yeah, she's because Markway wants to send her away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just feels like it's getting dangerous. She has an incident where she ends up in the library, climbing the staircase, which is starting to pull away from the wall, and about right. I don't know if she's going to jump off. We're talking again, folks, about like 25 feet up in the air, which would definitely killed her or injured her very, very badly. More than likely killed her. And of course, this is the little place where the one wife hung herself, and just before she falls off this rickety spiral staircase, Markway manages to get up there and catch her and bring her back down, and he wants to send her out. He says, "This is too dangerous for you." She had another incident where she'd been out on a terrace, one of the high up terraces, and was looking at the library from the outside. It had a tower that was built into it, and nearly falls off off this ledge, and he catches her for that before she goes over the edge. And so he's like, "This house is having an effect on you that's not healthy. I think you need to go home." Yeah. And so this is also building all throughout the whole movie as well.
And she obviously doesn't want to leave.
No, and she says, "No, I have to be I have to be here. The house wants me to be here. So I'm going to be here."
And that's an interesting kind of conflict between her and Markway trying to figure out, well, maybe this is signs of a real haunted house, or maybe it's a sign of a mental thing with her.
And so leading up to this, you don't know whether maybe, because she does sort of act like she's losing it anyway. So who knows?
Well,
what it is.
From the very first time he meets, and she tells him that she's been taking care of her mother for 11 years, and her mother died. It becomes the story. Well, it kind of like, well, she should really be here, and this is before he gets to know her, because he doesn't know any of these characters really before. He
doesn't know any of them. That's right. Except for his wife, who shows up and disappears.
The wife. And that's the thing about this. I mean, they become really close. And Markway is not someone who wants to use her for his own means.
Right.
This is something that you would most definitely see in a more modern film, where Markway character would end up using the Eleanor character.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're never presented in this film with anyone who's like a bad guy, an overtly evil person in this film. These are all kind of very normal people who are just thrown into an extraordinary circumstance.
No, I mean, even Luke starts coming around as far as his attitude about this is just a paycheck for me. When my mother dies and I get the house because I'm the next heir, I'm just going to cash in.
Yeah.
But even he starts backing off on that a little bit, saying, "Well, there's something more going on here to this house."
Yeah. So, and that means that this, even though we're seeing a lot more of this stuff and hearing it from the Eleanor character, because it's affecting the other characters, we, the audience, are getting an inside look at a house that might be haunted, because even though some of the characters may not believe it is haunted, we are seeing still not only Eleanor's perspective on what's happening to her and people around her, but the other people as well. Luke was like, completely, this is not a haunted house. This is for me to make money from. But
he's
experiencing things that he would have never experienced otherwise. And same with Markway. He was not a true believer. He wanted to prove.
No, he wasn't really. No, I mean, he was there to either prove yes or no.
Yeah. And
either way, he didn't go in there with preconceived notion that I'm going to prove that these things exist. It was like, no, I'm going to go in and find out, do they exist or not?
Yes.
And that's something you don't see in one of these movies a whole lot either, where usually they have a fixed notion of what they want when they go in there.
Yeah. And that's one of the things why I still love this movie, is that these characters are not like, there's no evil characters, no bad characters.
No, there really aren't.
Like real people.
Yeah, that's right. Was it time to lead into the big climax, or I'm trying to think what else? I mean, the only other incident I can think of that we had that was sort of really creepy during the time when we had this unseen character walking up and down the hall and banging on the doors. Mm-hmm. The Theo and Eleanor, they decide to stay in the same room since they have these adjoining bedrooms, and they take the two twin beds and push them together to make one big bed. So they're asleep, and it's dark, the lights are out, and you hear something out in the hallway, and there's some banging going on, and Eleanor, grabs Theo's hand, and then the camera cuts around, and the editing of this is really great. And it climaxes with Theo waking up and screaming, and Eleanor's not in the bed. Mm-hmm. And she's over on the couch in the other part of the room. And Eleanor realizes that, okay, whose hand was it that I was holding? Yeah. It wasn't, and so weird stuff like this has been going on. Little things like that are happening leading up to the big climax at the end. Yeah. And again, Grace is still missing. We haven't found her yet. They keep trying to find, looking all over the place for her, but nobody knows what happened to her.
Now, it's interesting that they bring that character into the story there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a need for her character? Could the film have been good without it? What do you think she adds to it?
Well, she certainly adds to how the climax comes around or whatever. I mean, she's sort of the catalyst to the final confrontation, or you call it, or whatever.
The final confrontation.
Because yeah. we've got one thing I did not mention, when Eleanor's up on that spiral staircase, almost ready to fall off, mm-hmm. this trap door that's in the ceiling up there, right up there, she's on the top of the staircase. This trap door opens up, and she looks up and she sees somebody, and that startles her, and that's why she nearly falls off, and he catches her. Mm-hmm. We find out
that was
Grace. And Markway decides, that she has to go home, because she says, I saw Grace. And they said, no, you didn't. No, you didn't see anybody. They're convinced that she's gone off the deep end. And they pack her up and, put her in her car and say, no, you need to go home. We're only doing this for your own safety, because you're going to, you've nearly gotten killed twice in this house. We're not going to let you stay and do that. And she takes off, and just the car sort of starts driving on its own. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that sounds. And all of a sudden, there's this figure running across the road, and the car veers away from hitting this person and smashes into a tree. Coincidentally, it happens to be the same tree that the first wife of Hugh Crane hit with the carriage and killed her. Yep. When she first came to the house. And of course, the crash is a small car, the one that she took from her sister. And actually, it was hers. But
it was hers. Yes,
they didn't really take it, but because they thought it was theirs. But she hits the tree and it kills her. When the three run out to find out what happened, they realize that she's dead. And Luke very calmly says, "I guess the house got what it wanted."
From the very beginning.
It wanted her, so she's going to be a part of this house forever. But he also added, he says, we need to burn this house down and spread salt all over the place.
Yes, salt. Oh, my God. Salt.
And as it turns out, the figure running across the road was Grace, who's like all shattered and distraught, and said, I don't know what happened. I woke up and I was looking for you guys, and I couldn't find you, get lost in the maze of the hallways, and ended up in the attic. And then when I looked out this trap door, that's when I saw Eleanor, and we both got scared with each other. And this is somehow I ended up out here in this road. I don't know how I ended up out here.
Yeah, well, that's where the whole aspects of, she staying the night in the nursery, one of the rooms with the worst, I want to say bad juju, but
no, I mean, that seems to be like he said, the center of all of the weird activity.
Yeah.
Was out of there.
So Grace then experiences her own
Oh yeah.
incidences that she has no control over, kind of like what Eleanor feels like. But
Yes.
Grace is not in tune with any psychic abilities or anything
No.
like that. So
No, not at all.
it never comes off as being supernatural to her. It's just very strange and like off-putting.
Doesn't know. She can't explain it. Yeah.
She can't explain it, exactly. So
If this had been a modern day film, she would have said, I believe. But no. Thank God they didn't go that route.
I can't remember what
with
happened.
with any of them. And no, they just end the movie right there. It's just sort of like, wow, I got Eleanor, and I guess she got what she wanted, and I guess the house got what it wanted, and they just sort of leave it there.
They just
know.
leave it there.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that throughout this entire film, there's only one person that we see of the modern day era that died. Now we do see the companion, Abigail, and
Right.
the Mrs. Crane, the first Mrs. Crane and second Miss Crane, all died,
Right.
all within the span of like 5 minutes at the very beginning of the movie.
Right. That's right.
And then for the most part, everything else is psychological. Everything.
Yes, it is. It's all you never really know. Even at the end of the movie, you never really know, was this all just a psychosis of Eleanor's or what? We don't really know.
So, but yeah, for me, I really, really enjoyed the kind of the ideal that this person Eleanor, who has been shut up for 11 years, is finding her real home, so to speak, her real place where she belongs, because she always feels like she belongs there at Hill House, despite the fact that
That's right.
experiences some horrifying things in her eyes. I kind of almost want to believe that nothing that she experiences is really horrifying. It's just that because she's so sensitive to some of this, the what's going on with the haunting, that she kind of takes it in the wrong way, because she hasn't embraced her psychic ability like Theo has.
No, that's true. Although she's starting to, I mean, we see her personality change.
Mm-hmm, we do
very subtly during this movie. She's not quite the little nebbishy type character that she was in the beginning. She starts getting a little bit of a backbone or whatever. She gets a little more self-assured. Not a lot, but I mean, it's you can see a change coming through her. It's almost like, she was looking for an adventure just to escape from her old life, but she's almost finding herself a little bit too. As cliched as that sounds, she is learning some things about herself, dealing with that survivor's guilt that she was clearly dealing with in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, not just that, but she's also, she finds, friendship with Theo.
Yes.
She ends up having feelings for Markway, even though they're misplaced.
Right.
She's experiencing a lot of stuff that she hasn't had the opportunity to feel
that's right.
real world. And I think that's part of her, I don't want to say her growth as a character in this film.
You could say evolution. Yeah. I mean, there was a sort of evolving here. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I take the film, and that's how I want to take the film, because I have watched it many, many times, and I continue to go back to this film for multiple different reasons. I think it's a great example of a classic haunted house film.
Oh, I do too. Well, and now originally the first script writer, I lost his name here. Hang on. I lost my note here for a minute. I got to get back up to it. There we go. My digital notes here. Screenplay was written by a fellow by the name of Nelson Gidding, very well-known screenplay writer, wrote a lot of good stuff. He originally wrote this with the concept of making it purely a psychological thing with Eleanor, that it was all her losing her mind.
Mm.
And Wise was a little uncomfortable with that, and actually talked to Ann Jackson, who said to him, no, there's really supernatural elements in this story, in this book. I mean, she said, when I wrote the story, she says, you can make the movie any way you want. I've given you permission to do that. But the story, and if you read the book, it's clearly, there's supernatural elements to it. So, and Wise wanted to sort of be at least truthful to that without being overt. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that it was sort of like, okay, it could go either way, but it's left up to the audience, the
Yes.
audience member to watch it. So, and I'm sure there's some people out there that say, no, this was clearly just psychological, and you could probably explain it all the way with everything in the movie. And then others like me who say, no, there was definitely some paranormal things going on here. And there's things in the movie that would sort of prove that too. So, but there's really no definitive answer on that. That's one aspect. I love movies that do that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think that you are absolutely right. A modern day audience would probably you would probably have just equal amount of people on both camps. Those that believe it's all in the head, those that believe that it's supernatural elements because of the way it is filmed and executed.
Yeah.
So.
And contemporary audiences nowadays have been, no, just give it to me. Just tell me one way or the other. Just lay it out there for me.
Well,
and that's just not the way movies were made back then. And I like this style. This is almost a film noirish type approach to a movie.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of that feel to it. Maybe not pure film noir, but I like the fact that it challenges us as an audience, and it forces us to say, you make the decision. What do you think it is? Yeah. We've just given you all the facts. You decide. What do you think?
Well, I will say this. I think that is why the remake takes the approach that it does. Because it's 100% ghosts, hauntings everywhere because you see them in that movie.
Yes.
And I think that they did that on 100% purpose. The remake was not ambiguous. It wasn't playing with you. It was overly overt.
Oh no, that's why I didn't like it. I hate the fact that some movies do that. It's almost like saying, "Well, you're too stupid to decide, so we're going to give it to you."
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I would love to see or hear what modern audiences who didn't grow up with this film and did not watch it for film reasons, right. What their reaction and what their thoughts are on this film because of the time period in which it was made,
mm-hmm.
and the way it was perceived back then.
Yes,
the 60s, which was completely different.
It was a huge hit in the 60s. I mean, when it came out in the theaters, it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Only made for a little over, I think it was like 1.4 million. I think was the budget on this, and which is a good budget for 66. But I mean, what you see in this movie, I think there's a lot more on the screen than that.
Yeah.
But it made during its course, we have these $1 billion movies that we're sort of accustomed to seeing, but this one made $800 million so far. This is in theatrical sales as well as now the DVD sales and the Blu-ray and all of that stuff. So, I mean, it has more than justified its expense.
Oh yeah,
it's made a fortune for the people that produced it.
Yeah. I mean, it's they didn't make they did the remake was like extremely high profile. I think it was released in summer. It was a blockbuster.
Yeah, it was a summer release.
Designed it had Jan de Bont, who was, even though he had done Speed 2, he was still at the top of his game.
Oh yeah, no, he was a popular director at the time when he made it. Yeah.
Now he doesn't direct shit, but that I don't think it's he just stays behind the scenes now. His directing career lasted a few films and then he's kind of died off.
Yeah.
But that, we have the Robert Weiss version, and we still have Shirley Jackson's original novel to fall back on.
But this version still plays pretty well.
It's
not really dated. I mean, the only time you would see anything in this movie that might date it a little bit is when she leaves her sister and the sister's husband to go do this, because then you see the cars and stuff. It's clearly 60s style cars or whatever. But once they get into the house, this could take place anytime.
Yeah.
You really don't know.
No. And so now, Jim, we've come to this time. What other things did we not touch upon that we still need to touch upon for the film?
Well, there's probably a ton of things we haven't touched. I don't. There's so much in this movie. A lot of times when I go back and see this movie, I'll see some other things I didn't even realize were there.
The little
I
details.
think
in
we
the
hit all the
dialogue
big stuff. I think we hit all the big stuff, really, that I can think of.
And we hit a lot about Robert Weiss and his career as well.
Well, yeah, and again, that has as much to do with this film as anything. You know?
I do believe as we delve more into a lot of these famous directors and bigger name directors on these films like this, that we talk a lot more about the director and their kind of their
yeah.
as it pertains to.
Well, he also produced the film too, so I mean, he pretty much had creative control on this entire movie, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing
because he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, these type of conversations make it more interesting for me to have, because other shows obviously don't talk as much as we do about these tangents when we go off to the directors or a particular actor or stuff like that.
I do like my tangents.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Me and you both, we love to go off of these tangents, and it's perfectly fine. Because me and you, even though there are several years in between us, we are very much in the same mentality when it comes to these classic movies, dude. I don't know if anyone of the other guest judges on the show that enjoys these classic movies nearly as much as you and I.
That's true. That's true.
And I wish I had grown up with a lot of these films. I thank God. This is one of the great things about probably the best things that came out of my going to film school. Is the fact that I have a greater appreciation for all these. Yeah,
you got a chance to revisit these things. Yeah.
I don't think if I hadn't gone to film school, I don't think I would have ever watched most of these films, especially when I did. I would have probably watched them eventually much later in life, if ever. I learned about all these people from film school, and I just went off and decided to watch all their films. I know there's still a ton more films for me to watch, especially.
You got a lot more to go. Yeah,
still got a lot more to go. I still haven't watched them all, but then again, I can't say that I most of us here on the show have not seen all the movies out there from all the different decades, all the different subgenres. But speaking for everyone who's listening to the show, our show is designed to help you all look for these gems out there, these classic films from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 30s. We will go as far back as we can. We have not done a silent movie yet, but we've done plenty of stuff that hinges right after the silent film era. And all the many different types of subgenres, because there's the horror genre is huge genre film that encompasses so many other niche areas.
That's true.
And we
like found footage films. No,
found footage films.
No, we really explored those quite well.
But we hope to continue bringing you all listeners these amazing conversations about a lot of these different films. So I do want to thank you, Jim, for having this conversation with me about The Haunting. And it is that time for everyone out there where we go through and we rate the movies based on the 1 to 5 system. 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we like to do is we like to pull a quote, item, or thing out of the movie in order to help us rate the film. Where on the spectrum, Jim, do you place this film, and what object or quote or thing?
4.5 falling staircases.
Oh my God. I was going to say the spiral staircases. That's so much closer to what
we think too much alike. This is like the second time in a row we've done that.
Oh, geez. Okay. So I'm going to be more.
But I think it's a principal prop in this movie. So other than the house itself,
I'm gonna rate it 5 Nights in the Nursery.
All right. There you go.
That's what I mean. This is like one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies.
It definitely is on my, I would say, like my top 20 list. And it's also been, on a lot of big time lists. It's considered one of the top 100 horror films of all time. I mean, it's made all of the top 10, 50, whatever lists all time. This is considered one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, we're slowly getting through all my top 10 movies, in my opinion, over in the course of the show, and I've avoided doing a lot of them because it's hard for me to find something bad with them. So I don't like to talk.
Some of them out there, I mean, some like this one. It's hard to find anything bad about this movie.
So
I just, and folks, I don't give anything fives. I mean, it's very rare.
No,
I could almost give this one a 5, but it just, okay, I'm going to give it the highest I can next to that.
On the other hand, have given lots of movies 5, not on the show, mind you.
Yes.
I don't think I've given any. I may have given 1 or 2 films a 5, but it's gonna be. I have to look, and that's a hard one for me when it comes to horror films. And I've been avoiding talking about my favorites for a reason.
Sure.
I've given 4.5s and 4s to a lot of movies, but 5, I think I have not. I'll have to look at the list about that.
Yes, I haven't given away many 4.5s, so that's this one. This was like right up there on the top of my list.
Yeah. So, with that, I want to thank you all for listening to us rant and rave and critique and analyze the film The Haunting from 1963. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us. We do hope that you will seek out previous episodes in which we've delved deep into other types of horror films, different subgenres, different decades, a wild variety of different films for your listening pleasure. Also, make sure to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horror, which delves deep into classic Hammer Studio films, mostly from the 60s and 70s right now, because we're still doing those early films, but we will get to some of the later ones in a later time period. We hope that you've enjoyed us in our program here at Something Wicked Entertainment, and we wish you a pleasant day. And like I said, you know what? You need to stay out of those haunted houses, everybody, because
that's right.
Yeah, you need to stay, just stay away. Stay away. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.